All right, well, welcome back to another episode of the Ultra Experience. This is the playlist, the podcast that is really geared towards sales, right? So if you or your teams, your sales staff is out in the field actually converting new business, right? Talking with prospects, then this show is for you, right? We're going to talk a little bit about what my mission is, and that's really just to help you guys with tips and strategies and tactics that are really going to help you and your sales staff produce more business, right? Close more deals. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about last week's video. We talked on there about how to simplify the CRM, right? If you guys are using a CRM, there's obviously many of them out there. Those CRMs they have a lot of bells and whistles, right? And so if you're anything like me and you complicate processes a little bit, complicate systems, right? That series or that video was really designed for you to simplify it. So this week I want to talk to you about the highway concept conversation, right? Or the highway conversation concept. And I always come up with these like little quirky concepts because as I'm working out, maybe as I'm, taking a walk or as I'm driving down the road, I think about these things and like, how can I simplify these things that I do inside my business that are going to allow me to help close more business, build my company, build revenue, and those sort of things. So if you're anything like me, stay tuned, right? Because we're going to continue bringing you some value on these little shows. And so let's talk a little bit about the highway conversation concept, right? We've all been through script training. So maybe you're the sales manager, maybe you're the purchasing director, maybe you're the CEO of the company, whatever you may be. But whether you're out there in the field or whether your sales teams are out there in the field, there's obviously some prospecting going on that is required in order for you to build the business, right? And so I've been in this industry, in the sales industry, for quite some time, and I've been given some script training, and that's not at all what this conversation's about, but it's a way for you to simplify the conversation. If you're anything like me, right, you get distracted a little bit, maybe you're on the phone with a prospect, maybe you're face-to-face with a prospect. There's been a time where that prospect has driven you off the road, so hence the highway conversation concept, and this is really where I birthed this idea at. So how do I build the highway conversation, and how does it help me? So here's what I want you to do. And maybe you can run this little exercise with your team. Grab a blank sheet of computer paper, right? Lay it out in landscape form. And what I want you to do is draw a center line, right? A line down the piece of paper with your pen. And on the right-hand side of the paper, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about 8 to 12 questions that are going to allow you or your sales team to ask a prospect that is going to help you understand as the salesperson the timing and the motivation behind this certain prospect, right? So let's think about this. Maybe you're out in the field and you're calling on, pick the target. It doesn't matter. A restaurant, a hospital, a hotel, whatever it may be, right? And you're trying to sell janitorial supply products into this new prospect. You're going to need to ask that person some questions that is going to allow you as a sales rep to understand, is there motivation behind this certain prospect that's going to allow you to do business with them? So that's what those 8 to 12 questions on the right-hand side of the paper are for, right? So stick with me. I'm going to come back to that in a second. On the left-hand side of the paper, what I want you to do is I want you to draw another line perpendicular to the center line. And on the top left-hand side of the paper, what I want you to do is come up with 3 or 4 objections that you always hear as a sales rep. What are the 3 to 4 objections that you currently hear day in and day out when trying to convert new business? It could be, I'm happy with my current supplier. Oh, if I were going to do it, follow up with me in a year. Or, what do you guys do that can help me? Whatever those objections are, and we can talk about observations, objections down the road. But I want you to write down 3 to 4 objections that you currently hear. And I want you to write some rebuttals to those, right? Some questions that you might ask the prospect if you were given those objections. On the bottom left-hand side of the page, what I want you to do is write 2 to 4 value adds, right? 2 to 4 value adds, meaning what can I do for this prospect that's going to allow them to understand that I can actually help them, right? And again, this is not script training. We can talk about that in another sales tip video, but that's not the basis for this conversation. It's how do I lay out a conversation so that I can stay in the conversation, right? When you go prospecting, you should all be looking at a result. What is the result that I'm after when I'm making this call, whenever I'm stopping by and knocking on this door, whenever I'm trying to talk to the gatekeeper to get to the person that makes the decisions, right? This is what this highway conversation concept is meant to do. So let's go back to what I originally said. You know, you've been on the phone with a prospect, or you've been in front of a prospect, and they start talking about things that might steer you off the road, right? So if you've driven the car down the road and you know that you take your eyes off the road, if you take your eyes off the road for too long, guess what happens? Danger lies ahead. The same thing happens in a conversation with a prospect, right? Whether it's face-to-face or whether it's on the phone. Right? So here, let's just kind of play this out for a second. You're face-to-face with a customer, and you're calling on them for the first time, or maybe you've got the crack at them, and now you're talking to them about bringing your product line in, and they steer you off the conversation of really where you meant to go, right? Where you want to go because you're looking for that result. Is there an opportunity to do business with you? Right? And they steer you in another direction. Well, you know, when they steer you off the road, what lies ahead? Danger, right? So the 8 to 12 questions on the right-hand side of the page are meant for you to do this. You acknowledge what the conversation is, right? They're steering you off the road, down into the ditch, right? You acknowledge what they're talking about, and you simply ask the next question on your page. Now guess what happens? You're back in control. You're back on the road, and you're driving down the road to the result that you're looking for. After I ask a series of 4 or 5 of those 8 to 12 questions on the right-hand side of the page, I might go into a value add. But I know when I go into a value add, what happens? I might be met with what? An objection, right? So this page, this piece of paper, helps you stay on the center line on the road. It helps you stay on the road. It helps you keep going towards your destination, which is the result that we're looking for, right? Guys, if you have not yet listened to the Ultra Experience podcast, again, Spotify, Google, and iTunes, I encourage you to go do that. Ultra Soap International. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Go over there, leave us a comment. Hopefully these will help you. If you guys have questions about this stuff, and if you want to have me in, maybe talk to your sales staff, make live dials in front of you. Happy to do it. Happy to convert business for you guys. Look forward to talking to you guys next week. We'll be back same time, same channel next week. Look forward to hearing from you. Look forward to talking to you. Bye now.